All right. Well, it works. All right. Yeah, I don't have the little timer on my phone anymore that we had during the yeah, I missed that. I like that thing. It probably would have just confused me because I'm a simpleton, but I liked it. I liked it. All right.
Woo! And also, whoa!
Right, it's a new start. It's a new start.
Hey, good man. Chris Perkins, Sun Sentinel. Top 10 defense last year.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, It is game week. Dolphins versus Jacksonville, 1 o'clock, Hard Rock Stadium on Sunday to open the 2024 season. Tua versus Trevor, McDaniel versus Peterson, good versus evil. All right, maybe not good versus evil, but everything is going to be on display in this home opener. Welcome, everybody, to this week's edition of Dolphins Deep Dive with Perk. I am your host, South Florida Sun Sentinel columnist, Dolphins columnist Chris Perkins. That is David Furones, your South Florida Sun Sentinel Dolphins writer. What's up, Furones?
I'm doing good, Perk. How are you? Ready to get a
Oh,
new
baby, we
season
got
started?
this new opening. We got this new background. We got this new energy for the 2024 season. I'm fired up, man. What about you?
I feel like I dove in. I dove in.
I like it, baby. I like it. All right, folks, today we're going to talk about your 2024 Dolphins overall. We're going to talk about the offense. We're going to talk about the defense. And, of course, we're going to talk about Sunday's matchup against the Jacksonville Jaguars. As always, we welcome our viewers. We want you to feel free to contribute your thoughts, questions, comments to our live chat. As usual, we will answer some of the questions during the show. Leave some of your questions. I will answer them later on today in an online Q&A story. By the way, be sure to subscribe to our Dolphins newsletter. You can subscribe on our website, sunsentinel.com. On the upper left, you'll see a link called All Sections. Click on that. Then you'll see Sign Up for Newsletters. Click on that. And then just simply scroll down to the Fin Splash. Click on that. You're there. Also, one other thing, be sure to answer our weekly poll question, which is going to post every Monday morning on sunsentinel.com. Today's question: which phrase best describes your thoughts about the Dolphins ahead of the 2024 season? And in fact, that's how we're going to open our show. As always, there's an ocean of possibilities here. Let's dive in. All right, baby, here we are. Furones, here's our poll question, and it is, how do you feel about the 2024 Miami Dolphins? As you know, we gave our readers and viewers 4 options. It's a great team. I'm more excited than I've been in 20 years. It's a good team. They'll win at least one playoff game. They should make the playoffs, or I have no expectations, and therefore I won't be disappointed. I will say this, Furones, our predictions are out. I picked them to go 10-7. I'm not sure the Dolphins are going to win a playoff game this season, so I'm at the one who says they should make the playoffs. What do you think? Are you they're going to win at least one playoff game, or where do you stand on this poll? What are your thoughts so far?
Yeah, that's where I stand, is that option of it's a good team. They'll win at least one playoff game. And this is what it all goes back to all offseason. This is what I wrote in our season preview section, that it all comes down to winning in the playoffs now. And really, it's what it should have been last year, but the team kind of fell apart with injuries. Even then, shouldn't have been blowing a 3-game lead in the division with 5 weeks remaining, as the Bills were phasing Stephon Diggs out of the offense. But this is why Mike McDaniel this offseason drilled it into everyone's heads, throwing that 24 number into the start time of team meetings. This is why Tua said heavy as a crown after his contract extension, knowing that this is still what needs to get done for him in his career after so much that he has proven. This is why Tyreek Hill left behind his individual goal of the 2,000 yards for the team goal of winning in the playoffs. Everyone knows it's time. It's time. It's a no excuse season. You got to get it done now, and it starts with winning the division over the Buffalo Bills, so you get that home playoff game to start.
Yep. Hey, we want to welcome some of our usuals. Cap for Life, Dave Harbor, Malby Crazy, Roger Allman. What's up, fellas? What's up? Judy Williams. Yeah, Judy, we got some new graphics here. We're excited. We're fired up. This is great. Pretty boy, what's up? What's going on? So here we go, baby. Here we go. We are excited. Dana Boyce is here. We're going to start off with this one from Dana. If you believe this team is okay and only going to win 10 games, don't be writing articles at the end of the season about how the Dolphins disappointed you if they don't be that consistent. Well, here's my thing with this team is I like this
Perk,
team.
yeah.
No, that's fair. That's fair. I like this team, and I think that they have a chance to be better than they've been the previous two games. I've got to see it, and that's the only thing here. I think that their talent is there. I like what they've done offensively, and I've said this also. During training camp, I saw more of the big boy calls, meaning, third and short. That's been one of my criticisms of this team is that they try the jet sweeps and they try the tight end arounds, ram it down somebody's throat. And I've seen more calls like that. Granted, you don't have Chris Brooks or the big back, but you do have Jonnu Smith and you do have Durham Smythe, and you can still run up the middle with Raheem Mostert because he can run physically, even though he's a speed guy. So I am optimistic. That's fair. I will not say that I'm disappointed by this team if they don't win a playoff game or if they don't win more than 10 games. That is a deal. You have my word on that. Furones, what are you expecting as far as the playoffs with this team?
Perk, you're not gonna. That's not what you're gonna do. You're totally gonna write that they fell below expectations if they end up losing into the playoff game. But really, as you should, because I think this year it's got to be you're done with the excuses. I know 2 years ago you were the 7th seed. Even then you started 8-3, but then you had that winless December and you didn't have Tua for the playoffs. So I understand why you couldn't go into Buffalo and win with Skylar Thompson as a rookie. By the way, he's improved a little bit now to be able to earn a backup spot over Mike White, but back then, rookie 7th round pick going into a playoff game at Buffalo. I get that one. And then I understand once you got to the playoff game in frigid Kansas City that you couldn't pull that one off. But even then, I remember people talking about how they would prefer that. They would prefer the Dolphins lose at home in the regular season finale to avoid Buffalo again the next round right back at home. And because you can't beat them 2 times in a row. To all those people that said that, I asked, did you expect once you saw them lose against Buffalo that then it would go the other way again? Because now, if you're going to be consistent with that, you'd think of it the opposite too. That if they lose to Buffalo, then they beat them the next week. But I don't think anyone was thinking that. So I think no matter what the situation is, that they lost half the defense last year, and Raheem Mostert and Jalen Waddle were banged up at the end of the year. It can't be another year of, we have excuses at the end, so it's acceptable. They made the playoffs as a 6 or 7 seed as a wild card again, so it's fine. No, now is the time you have to win in the postseason. It's been since 2000. It's the longest drought in the NFL. These teams are talented enough, talented enough to be able to do it. So the Dolphins should be winning in the postseason. These playoffs, I don't want any excuses by January.
Roger Allman says, I am so excited about my Dolphins this year. I'm very excited too. And I'll say this also about the Dolphins. This defense really excites me with Anthony Weaver and the possibilities there. I need to see the defensive front do something because with Jalen Phillips coming back, at reduced power, I don't know if he's 70%, 60%, 80%, whatever. It's going to take him a while to get up to 100. We've got Agba on the other side. Behind them are unproven guys, right? Whether it's Chop Robinson, Mo Camara, Quentin Bell, whoever it is. But overall, I'm very excited about this defense and what Anthony Weaver can do. Look, the secondary, I'm fired up about the secondary. Jalen Ramsey, Kendall Fuller, Cater Kohu, Jordan Poyer, Devon Holland. I've said and I've wrote, Jalen Ramsey, this training camp that this guy had, firing up the team, making plays out there on the field. You saw it, Furones, against the run. He's coming in there and making hits. Now, they weren't in pads and they weren't always tackling to the ground, but he was attacking. He's stripping the ball. He's firing up his teammates. He gives that speech after practice. This year, we're going to be the bullies. I'm really looking forward to what Jalen Ramsey brings on the field and as far as leadership, Furones.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the biggest thing that I look at with this defense is you made the big addition of Jalen Ramsey last year, but under Vic Fangio, he wasn't willing to use him sort of in all the most beneficial ways that could really maximize the potential of Ramsey in this defense. But now Anthony Weaver, I think he is more inclined to utilize him as that. I say it every time, is that ultimate chess piece. It's his quote. It's stuck with me since his opening press conference back in February for Anthony Weaver. Really, that's what it's going to be all about, is that you can really maximize Jalen Ramsey between moving him around, having him follow an opponent's top receiver, which Fangio was unwilling to do, except there was one game where it did happen, Garrett Wilson and the Jets, and the Dolphins shut them out, and Ramsey shut out Wilson in that first half en route to a 30-0 victory. So I like the prospect of Ramsey doing that, especially with a full season healthy, we hope. He hasn't been practicing recently, but we think it's just something minor that they're keeping track of and just holding him out for, but nothing too serious like the knee injury that he actually had to rehab last year in training camp and the early part of the season. So I think that's where the biggest dividends will be shown is with Ramsey and how many things he can do, how versatile he can be, including in the blitz.
Yep. Shake Money. I'm sorry, man. Dave Hyde. I know we did talk about this in the before the show. Dave Hyde. The promotion is with all three of us. Dave Hyde is not here this week. I'm sorry, Shake. It's false advertising. What can I tell you? What can I tell you? I'm sorry. He's not going to be here every week.
Tell him the truth. Hyde bailed on us. Hyde bailed on us. It was supposed to be the three of us. I just bailed on us. Like Tyreek Hill, I haven't seen him in a week. I haven't seen him Dave Hyde in a week. Like Tyreek Hill talking about Odell Beckham Jr.
That's right. No, exactly.
I'm kidding about it.
Exactly.
To be clear, Hyde sticks to his schedule.
That's right. And we are going to talk some Dolphins Jaguars here. So we appreciate everybody tuning in and talking to us and giving us your opinions here. With that, we are going to migrate to segment 2. Furones, do you have more?
I didn't know the new format was going to have us fast forward through segments so quickly. Perk, that's like a record for you to get from segment 1 to 2.
I know, you know me, Furones. The show is going to go on for like 2 hours because I can't stop. You know that. So I'm trying to. I don't want to burn myself out too quickly.
I must have read right past that part in all the promo emails. Is that Perk is going to get through his segments quicker under this new format?
We'll see. All right, here we go with segment 2. Furones, do you have more early season faith in the Dolphins offense or the defense? Now, look, we know that the offense has been together this is their third year, this third defensive coordinator. On top of that, we have not seen this secondary together very much. As much faith as I have in the secondary, and that's not going to be shaken. We have not seen them together very much because Ramsey has been out, Holland has been out, Poyer has been out. Early season for the Jacksonville game, for the Buffalo game, for the Seattle game, more faith in the offense or with the offensive line questions as usual and the shortened wide receiver core or the defense?
Yeah, it is still the offense. It's going into year 3 together. Some questions on the O-line, but I think those blemishes will be diminished by both the play calling and Tua's quick decision making. He even said it when I asked him about his faith in the interior of the offensive line. He said, brother, I get the ball out quick, so it's not going to matter that much. They can put whoever they want at guard and center. No, but they do have. I think Liam Eichenberg will see some improvement. I know he's kind of like a punching bag for fans, but I think the coaching staff is high on him for a reason. Aaron Brewer, I wish he would have had more time in training camp, but I think he's a good fit for this offensive line. His athleticism. So I like him at the center position. I hope that with that lacerated hand, he can snap the ball effectively. There were some poor snaps early in training camp, and he hasn't been able to snap too much since. So hopefully that gets squared away. And Robert Jones, I think, is in line for a big uptick, a big improvement this season as he goes in really as a starter for the first time in his career to start a season. Before he's just been a kind of a reliable backup, and I feel always very reliable whenever he has been called upon. But end of the day, you have Tua in the perfect offense for him. You have a healthy Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, and you have the speedsters at running back. Plus, and this is a huge plus, Jonnu Smith in this offense at tight end. I really like what I believe they will be unleashing with him this season.
Yeah, I really like the offense early in the season also, Furones. Here's a question for you, though. We know that Jacksonville has those two tremendous edge rushers, right? And Josh Hines-Allen, who had 17 and a half sacks last year. Trayvon Walker on the other side, he had 10 sacks. You know, I'm sorry, my research is incomplete right now. I think that Josh Hines-Allen pretty much stays on the defense's right side, so he'll be over Teron Armstead. And I think Trayvon Walker stays on the defense's left side, which means he'll be over Austin Jackson. I'm not sure if they move. I haven't finished going over the videos from last season. I haven't been able to locate it yet. However, put that all aside, how do you feel about pass protection? And as you said, Tua gets that ball out quickly. But those are two excellent pass rushing ends, and it's not all up to Teron and Austin Jackson. They will be one-on-one a lot, but it's a pass protection package, right? So you might have to have a running back or a tight end ship at certain times. I think the Dolphins are good on the edges with the pass protection. I would worry more up the middle with the communication. But the Jaguars are strong on the edges, so it's strength against strength. I feel fairly confident in pass protection for this opening game. What are you thinking along those lines?
Yes, it is a plus that the strengths of the Dolphins' offensive line is at the tackle positions, the two tackles, four-time Pro Bowl, or not five-time Pro Bowler, right? Teron Armstead and Austin Jackson on the right side, who last year had so many question marks, but now maybe is the one with the fewest question marks along this Dolphins offensive line. When you consider Teron Armstead as barely practiced and maybe hasn't had the ramp up necessary, but he feels good. I mean, I think if he knows himself better than anyone else, so I think if he feels he's able and ready for the season, then don't question that, man. But you just hope he's able to stay healthy for the long haul, and hopefully keeping him in bubble wrap all training camp is to the benefit of the Dolphins. But yeah, like you said, the Dolphins are strong at the tackle positions on the offensive line, and that's why Chris Greer really he's inclined to favor the tackles when it comes to building the offensive line. That's why he wasn't going to pay the big money to Robert Hunt at guard. He's not thinking like some teams are starting to think built from the inside out on the offensive line. The Carolina Panthers certainly were when they gave Robert Hunt 5 years, $100 million. But Dolphins are still sticking true to the theory of be strong at the bookend tackles. And then you can kind of piece it together on the interior of the offensive line. So now, so you have the strong edge rushers, you have the tackles that can block them. Now the only thing is if the Jaguars start to incorporate some of those twists and stunts and then get some of those edge rushers against the interior linemen, then it could produce some problems. But again, Tua, he gets the ball out quick, and this is why this was not an issue week one last year against the Chargers. A lot of people were very concerned about the Chargers pass rush in 2023, that Brandon Staley game plan, and then they kept Tua upright, or maybe Tua kept himself upright for a large part, but a lot of it had to do with getting the ball out quick, and it's another year in this offense. And now a second year with Butch Berry as offensive line coach. So that should be to the benefit of the Dolphins as well, to finally have some continuity at the offensive line coach position.
Yeah, I agree. And let's look at the defense because we're talking about the early season offense. The early season defense, Furones, This matchup is not going to be easy. Going up against Jacksonville, you got Trevor Lawrence at quarterback, Travis Etienne at running back. At receiver, Christian Kirk, the veteran in the slot. You got Brian Thomas, the first-round pick from LSU at one side. Who's their other? They got Gabe Davis from Buffalo and Devin Duvernay, right, from Baltimore. A couple of speedsters. I know I butchered his name, Furones. We're going to go past that.
What kind of wine? What kind of wine is that? What kind of wine is that you were saying?
Right. It's like a 2020 2000 vintage, right, for Duvernay, I believe. Yeah, something like that. So
if I recall correctly, he was killed the Dolphins in the past on special teams in the return game. So
yes, you're right.
We cover all three phases of the game on the show.
That's right. Exactly. So, Furones, tell me what you think about this Dolphins defense if they're the early season defense, because we know it's going to be different once Jalen Phillips gets to 100%, once Bradley Chubb gets in there. The early season defense, and we know that they've got a tough, back-to-back, right, against Jacksonville and then Buffalo 4 days later. But the Jacksonville, that's a respectable offense. And look, Jacksonville is a team that's kind of like the Dolphins from 2 years ago, right? Last year they were 8-3, and then they lost 5 of their last 6, and they go and finish 9-8, and they end up missing the playoffs. Jacksonville is very capable. This offense is very capable. They've got high expectations up there. They're talking 10 wins at least and winning a playoff game, much like the Dolphins. Trevor Lawrence just got broke off. We know that. What do you think about this Dolphins defense? Are they ready in week 1 to handle this Jacksonville offense?
Yeah, the biggest thing is the run defense, I think, especially after an offseason where you lost Christian Wilkins. So the Dolphins were always strong against the run when you had the Wilkins-Sealer combination. Now, you do bring in a Calais Campbell, and you'll rotate some other guys. I think Brandon Peely has done a good job. Benito Jones, as he has now returned to practice, should be the starting nose tackle. And Deshaun Hand can do some things up there as well. So just getting a solid rotation with those guys. And maybe Zach Sealer doesn't have to take on as much of a workload, like that 90% range of snaps played per game. So keeping those guys fresh, it's going to be key. But I worry now still with as much as Chop Robinson has shown as a rookie his ability to rush the passer, it's him setting the edge and in run defense.
Yep.
So our opposing team's going to just run the ball at him until he proves that he can set that edge and stop the run. Then it's going to cause potentially some over pursuing from the linebackers. I love David Long and Jordan Brooks in this aspect, but then are they going to have to over pursue to cover Chop Robinson's side whenever they're running at him? So it's something that he's going to have to learn quickly. So especially against a team like the Jaguars, who have Travis Etienne, who can run the football and is so dynamic in the run game, then I do worry a little bit about that. When I look at the receiving core, yeah, they're solid. They don't have like a big-time number one. Calvin Ridley on his way out. Gabe Davis coming in. They have Christian Kirk. Tight end, Evan Ingram.
Yeah,
obviously. Right. I wasn't sure if you had mentioned him in the players that you had listed. But there you go. Now he's accounted for. So a lot of guys you have to watch out for. And you mentioned the rookie Brian Thomas as well. So I don't know if necessarily Anthony Weaver will need to have Jalen Ramsey follow any of them. So they could create various matchups. It's not like you need to have him on one of those guys specifically. So, you're going to want to see Kendall Fuller do his thing, Javon Holland, and how he's used as well, because we talk about Jalen Ramsey and the versatile ways he can be used. Javon Holland can be sort of a Swiss Army knife as well with his range and also the experience that he had blitzing so much in the previous system under Boyer and Flores.
Yeah, and what was interesting, Furones, is in that Washington game, as I was watching, I noticed Kendall Fuller was starting to shadow Terry McLaurin for a little bit. And we know Jalen Ramsey didn't play in that game. I haven't asked Kendall Fuller what that was about. Did he request to cover McLaurin, his former teammate in Washington? Is that something Anthony Weaver plans on doing this year? Is that something they plan on doing if Ramsey has to miss a game? I thought it was an interesting move, and it shows some of the versatility, and it shows how Anthony Weaver is poking around, trying different things with that defense. So I just thought I would mention that as a possibility. I thought that was a real interesting thing.
Now, was that before or after Terry McLaurin was getting all those catches on Cam Smith early in the game? Yeah, all right. That was the adjustment. Was now all right? Kendall Fuller's gonna. Okay, yeah, it was a few weeks ago. So that.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, so but that also does show in-game adjustments that he's willing to make. So
Correct.
having alternate plans depending on how the game is playing out. So if one of those guys gets hot, then and it's against a Kendall Fuller in this case, or it's against Cater Kohu or whoever. If Ethan Bonner's out there in some dime packages, or we still have to figure out how they're gonna position guys into different lineups. But yeah, then maybe Ramsey does get to stick on someone if that receiver is torching someone else.
Yep. I just thought it was a very interesting, like you said, adjustment, or just, it was an interesting facet of the defense. I thought it just shows a lot of thought, versatility, possibility. P Double, what's up? Welcome. Billy Batson, welcome. Miami Kid J, welcome. Furones, there's a question on here. Who scores the first points of the Dolphins 2024 season? We had a response on here, and I've lost it. Billy Batson says Achan or the defense scores first. What? Yeah, that's interesting, right? No Jason Sanders. That's good. We don't want Sanders scoring. That's a compromise, right? We don't want that. Yeah. What about some love for Malik Washington or Braxton Berrios on the opening kickoff? Bam! Take that right in.
Oh yeah. Jason Sanders would have the shortest odds if you were setting odds for it. You probably, as far as first points,
right?
Just because, yeah, I mean, a touchdown could go to so many different players. A field goal, then it's Jason Sanders, so he would have the shortest odds.
Yep. I would hope for just for representing the future. I would hope Jonnu Smith. How about that?
Well, what did I say in our in-studio show a couple weeks back? It was in our favorite segment. One of our 4 favorite segments of each weekly show. It was that my prediction was the tight end was going to score the first touchdown of the season. So it's going to be one of the tight ends. I would think Jonnu Smith is the most inclined to be that player. But, boy, if it's Jordan Smythe and maybe even Julian Hill, then that would be cool to see. But I mean, I'll go ahead and go on a limb and say Jonnu Smith. I'll say Jonnu Smith gets the first touchdown. I think they get the first tight end touchdown out of the way early after the Dolphins were the only team to go without a touchdown from a tight end in 2023.
Exactly. Hey, let's talk some rookies here. Miami Kid Jay says, I think Kamara will see plenty of work and might make a high impact. On the other hand, I think Chop will get exposed. They run right at him. You already talked about Chop. You can add to that if you want. What do you see with Mo Kamara? And we know the Jalen Phillips situation that I'm expecting Jalen Phillips to have a monitored snap count this game because in 4 days you got to play Buffalo. So the door is kind of open for Mo Kamara, right?
Yeah, to play some, maybe as a rotational. Yeah, I mean, you have Ogba in there as well that I would expect to play plenty. Chop. I don't know how much Quentin Bell would get into the lineup defensively. But yeah, I mean, I'd say there are some opportunities for Mo Kamara. I think, like the defensive line, they're going to want to rotate those edge rushers too, and especially since Jalen Phillips will be on a snap count early. This is an opportunity for him to claim those snaps for when the Dolphins have their full slate of edge rushers, when Jalen Phillips hopefully ends up off the snap count, and then also Bradley Chubb is back and in full swing at some point as well.
By the way, I told you guys I'm going to answer some of your questions later on today in a online Q&A. So Mal Be Crazy, I got you. Sam, Cap for Life, P Double, Judy Williams, all of you have questions I don't want to promise anything that will likely be answered because who knows what we'll get later on in the show, but I'm pretty sure I'll get to all of those questions. So that's what's in line there. Furones, let me ask you one more thing while we're talking offense, defense, because as you say, we do have to talk special teams. What are you thinking from the kickoff? What have you gleaned anything from the kick? I haven't. From the preseason kickoff return, I have no idea what to expect as far as that goes. Jason Sanders looks solid to me. I haven't seen any, the 50-yard thing has always been a concern with him. he looked solid in preseason, and then I don't know, Jake Bailey. I don't see any concerns there. What do you think about special teams altogether? And look, that's even knowing that you could make the argument that special teams cost them that Buffalo game last year, right? The kickoff, the punt return, right? That Cam Good was in position, he blows out his knee, and now you get the touchdown. So what do you think about special teams overall? Danny Crossman, what are you thinking here?
Yeah, I think on kickoffs, the best way is if you can get that line drive to bounce in the landing zone and then go through the end zone. Then I mean, you're really gravy there. Then you're all set. So yeah, I mean, Danny Crossman's unit knows it has a lot of work to do. Mike McDaniel placed his confidence in him to be the one to correct it. I think he's a fine coach. I know there's been a lot of things that haven't gone his way, but I think just he goes about the process the right way. So eventually those will turn into results. And also Saran Neal, I was watching him down some punts in a special teams period of practice just yesterday, actually on Monday. And man, there's a reason why he's that kind of a special teams ace as a gunner over there. The way he gets down there, he's skilled downing the ball, keeping it out of the end zone. And he's good in that aspect of the game. So I really like him. And then also Jason Sanders, I think, is in line for another good season like we saw last year. And I think he sort of got that 50-yard long-distance field goal thing out of his system, and now he's connecting on those. Yeah. I think he's comfortable with Bailey holding for him as well. So some continuity, which I know Crossman has always wanted with the three specialists. Finally, it's the first year since 2020 that the Dolphins don't change the punter and, in effect, the holder as well in that one fell swoop. So some consistency there among the specialists.
Yeah,
Blake Ferguson comes right back after. Boy, he was released. He was for a roster spot.
Right. You know what?
It was all part of the plan.
Right. You know what's funny? I asked him what he did during his vacation, during his 24-hour vacation, and he was like, I was in the garage. I got some snaps off. And I'm like, dude, you're an addict. Like, you were a true professional. Like, I probably would have gone to the beach or something. Enjoy your one day off. But God bless Blake Ferguson, baby. He worked on his craft.
No, well, I mean, he was jobless for that day. I mean,
right.
he doesn't know if he has to audition for another team. Who knows? What if the Dolphins go back on their word and they say, no, we discovered that Andrew Meyer is able to long snap just as well, and we don't need an extra roster spot. This is why we kept him on.
That's right.
I always thought while that happened, how much would it take for the Buffalo Bills to screw over the Dolphins and say, well, we'll team you up with your brother. We'll keep two long snappers on our roster so that the Dolphins can't keep the one that they really want. But, maybe you throw in a little extra money. I don't know. The Bills are already pretty strapped on cash. They had to release so many players, including Josh Boyer, or Jordan Poyer. I just mixed Josh Boyer with Jordan.
Right.
Jordan Poyer, excuse me.
Yeah. Hey, we're gonna
probably not.
We'll have a little bit of a Bills reunion, right? Because Buffalo has Gabe Davis and Mitch Morse, the Buffalo center, with Jordan Poyer. So, yeah, those guys will be able to get back together. Furones, I can't believe we've gone this long without mentioning Tua. So we've got a couple of comments on here. Pretty Boy says, I love how confident Tua is now. And Judy Williams says, I didn't like that comment from Tagovailoa. I can't believe I stumbled over that. Nobody should be surprised. I know nobody should be surprised by that. She says it was basically a low-key slam of the offensive line. I'm going to entertain both of these. I also love how confident Tua is right now. And I think this started really with his hold-in training camp with the market is what the market is. It was like, oh, damn, Tua, all right. And so, yeah, he started speaking a lot more confidently and from the heart. Then we see him get the contract extension, and it is like a brand new, confident Tua. Very happy for him, very well deserved of the money. So I was against it, but he deserves it. He's made the Pro Bowl. He's done well. He's made Mike McDaniel happy. He's kind of made Mike McDaniel's career. So I'm over that. It happened. I'm over it. Good for Tua. I will say this. I didn't necessarily take his comment as a low-key slam of the offensive line. I know we've all portrayed it as that, and we've all kind of laughed along. I'll say this. I don't think that was necessarily a low-key slam of the offensive line. Just like I don't think Tua necessarily called Brian Flores a terrible person. What he said was, if you have a terrible person telling you every day, blah, blah, blah. So I know you don't believe that. You don't believe my BS here, Furones, I can tell. But that's what I think. I do like the confidence Tua, and I don't think that was a low-key slam of the offensive line. But what do you think?
All right. So much to unpack there. Was it a low-key slam? I don't think he intended to diss the offensive line, the interior lineman, but it did speak some truth into his approach. That's how he approaches each play, each pass play is get the ball out quick.
Yeah.
So I think, it is in the back of his head. Yeah, I don't have that much time, so I get the ball out quick. It's not necessarily he doesn't mean to insult the offensive line. It's what he actually needs to do to run the offense. So it's just a reality. So that's why. I mean, his time to throw is always one of the quicker ones among NFL quarterbacks. So, and as far as the Flores terrible person comment, yes, he is throwing out a hypothetical. Imagine a terrible person,
right?
But in expressing that, what he is saying is in his scenario. Brian Flores was that terrible person who was telling you all these negative things. So, yes, directly, indirectly.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. I can believe that. See, I could go along with that. Directly, indirectly. That's a great way to put it. Great way to put it. Stavros, what's up? Stavros fins up from New Mexico. Stavros says after Sunday, everybody's going to want Jonnu Smith on their fantasy team. That would be great. Stavros also says, I'm calling it now, Chop's getting 2 sacks, 1 strip sack. I had a dream. So, yeah, take that. Let's see here. What else have we got here on our text line? Oh, Billy Batson says, all my questions will be answered Sunday. I do kind of think that, right? Well, not all.
Well, on Dolphins Deep Dive, your questions get answered on Tuesday at noon.
Look at you. Sell. That's why you have your own segment. That's why you have your own segment. You know how to sell, man. I like that.
And I'm wondering when we're going to get to it.
Here we go. See, you ask, and here it comes, Furones. This is the quicker moving Dolphins Deep Dive, baby. Here we go. One of our 4 best segments on the show. It is always talked about, much ballyhooed. It is the Furones bonus.
Oh, the Furones bonus.
I love it, baby. You know what? Next time we got to make time for our graphics on this. We have graphics for this too. I didn't make time for it. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. They ran. Yeah, they saw him.
They saw it. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right. Good. All right. So on this Furones bonus, it is your 3 best predictions about a Dolphins star player. So you could say that maybe Tua is going to have at least 30 passing touchdowns for the first time in his career. Last year he had 29. 2 years ago it was 25. You could tell me something about Jalen Ramsey, something about Jalen Phillips. We're talking about the star players here for the Dolphins. Waddle, I guess Jordan Poyer is a star player, a high-profile player. Here's what I'm going to say, that Tua will have at least 30 passing touchdowns. I will say Tyreek gets at least 1,800 yards receiving. I know that's not a goal of his to pile up the yards. He says it's selfish, but I think it's healthy for the offense the more yards Tyreek gets. And finally, I'm going to say Jalen Ramsey will have a career best in interceptions. His previous career best is 4, and he's done that 3 times. So I'm saying Tua has 30 passing touchdowns, Tyreek 1,800 yards, Jalen Ramsey 5 or more interceptions. That's what I'm saying. What say you, David Furones?
Okay. I get 3 of them, huh?
3 of them.
So first, all right, and I like your Tua pick. So on Tyreek Hill, 1,800, I'll take the under on that. I think he still has an ultra productive season, but he'll miss last year's mark of 1,799 by more than 200 yards. He'll still be in the 1,500s which is highly productive, but it'll be more within the flow of the offense, and I think it'll work better for the offense as a whole as Jalen Waddle eats into Tyreek's total, as Jonnu Smith gets a chunk of that. The running backs catching the ball out of the backfield and Achane and Mostert. So I think it's going to be a more well-rounded offensive effort. And Tyreek Hill has fewer yards, but so I won't back you on that. But I think the offense will be better overall for it, as Tyreek Hill has an efficient maybe 15-50 or something, which is still a tremendous season with a lot of touchdowns too, by the way. All right, number 2, I will go Jalen Phillips, double-digit sacks for the first time in his career as he's coming off the torn Achilles. He mentioned that as someone asked him if he has any goals in mind, and he doesn't put a number on, but he did say though he sees himself as a double-digit sack player. So I think he gets in there for the first time in his career, past the 10. One thing about JP, I love his mental fortitude. He came out of retirement and put together his best college football season at UM in 2020. I actually covered it on the Canes beat back then, my last year on the UM beat before I joined the Dolphins beat the following season, along with him. So I followed his career in that way. And that year, he thrust himself from someone that was not even in the draft conversation entering 2022, a first-round pick. So like he said, the Achilles injury made a monster out of him. And if he's feeling good with it, I like his chances to have his best season. Maybe get in the conversation for comeback player of the year, but that probably just comes down to how Aaron Rodgers does with the New York Jets, because he would already kind of be like the favorite if he just has like a regular Aaron Rodgers season. Finally, how about this one for a bold prediction? And I said it in the media workroom yesterday. I have Julian Hill starting more games for the Dolphins in 2024 than Odell Beckham Jr. Now, I'm not taking Tyreek Hill's comments about not seeing OBJ in a week 2 seriously, but we already know Odell is out for the first 4 weeks. And what's the key word I'm talking about here? It starts.
Yep.
You want to know how many times the Dolphins offense came out with 3 wide receivers on the first play last season? It was once. So Alec Ingold as a fullback gets a lot of starts. They'll come out in a lot of 12 personnel, 2 tight ends, where Julian Hill maybe could get a start. He's a good run blocker, so I think they might want him on that first play as a running play. Odell, even when he's back, he would need an injury to either Tyreek Hill or Jalen Waddle to get a start. And even then, if River Craycraft is also back from that shoulder deal for the latter portion of the year, he might get that first look as a better run blocking wide receiver for that first play, while Odell is counted on more on third downs when the team needs a big catch to take some attention away from either Hill or Waddle. So I don't think we're really going to be seeing Odell Beckham as a starter, quote unquote, if you will. So I would have Julian Hill, who had 1 start last year, having more starts this season than Odell Beckham Jr., which 1 start for Julian Hill last year. That was the same number of times as the Dolphins started with 3 wide receivers on the first play, 1 time. So a little bit out on the limb, but I like it.
Wow. So you're going technicality. You need to get on the state-approved betting act and see if you can get some kind of a prop bet on that Julian Hill and OBJ. That's clutch, man. That's good by you. Nice observation.
Yeah, I doubt they go that deep into the player props for the season.
No, I doubt it.
If I could.
I doubt it. Hey, so we have a protest about my long introduction, I think. Judy Williams says, is this a Furones bonus or a Perkins bonus? I'm sorry. Let's note it. Let's note it then. All right.
Yeah, you get your own segment, all right? You got your own show. You got your own show.
Exactly. Exactly. Look, Miami Kid Jay says, Perkins, I was also against that ridiculous contract they gave Tua, but now it's out of the way. There's no more excuses for this guy. Time to perform, play well, especially against tough competition. You agree with me on the Tua and the touchdown passes. What do you think Tua will do better this season, and why?
What do I think he'll do better? I feel like just be himself. It's not like he has to do it. I mean, for one, it's exactly what he focused on all offseason. It's extending plays when necessary. So using that newfound mobility. So some of our Dolphins be level of when I point to whenever he avoids a practice sack, and we always debate on whether a play should be a sack in a training camp practice or not. So I've been giving to a lot of the benefit of the doubt whenever he escapes pressure, and that's that newfound mobility. There it is, right in front of us.
That's right.
But I do want to see it come out in a game and prove to all you doubters that it actually is a thing. So for those instances when he doesn't have all that time, we do know he does get the ball out quick, is to be able to maybe escape from someone and then utilize more time to allow Tyreek Hill or Jalen Waddle to get open over the top or something, or find someone out of the backfield. So yeah, extending plays, that would be the main thing. Other than that, stay healthy like you did last year, and just keep progressing as you have these previous 2 seasons.
And finally, while we're on the Furones bonus, here's one. Billy Batson says Odell is for December and January. Is Odell going to be effective in December and January? What are your, from where we sit right now on September 3rd, what do you think are the chances that Odell fulfills his mission here and becomes the number 3 receiver the Dolphins desire?
Yeah, as long as he goes about this plan that they have laid out the right way, mentally from his approach, then I think so. If he's understanding of what the organization is trying to do, we know that there was some pushback on that he wanted to be activated for the start of the season, and the Dolphins kept him on PUP. So that at least keeps him away from these 5 days, 2 games in 5 days, Sunday to Thursday, quick turnaround between weeks 1 and 2. Yeah, if he's all about it, if he's in line with the plan, if he indeed has been in the building, like Tyreek Hill indicated he maybe has not been over the past week since he was kept on PUP, then I do think so. I think that it should pay dividends toward the end of the season that you have a healthy Odell Beckham Jr.
All right, we will conclude this. See, I keep going on. I said I was going to conclude it. Dana Boyce says my three bold predictions are to break down Marino's all-time passing yards for one season. I guess Tua will. I guess that's the thing. Jalen Ramsey has 6 interceptions. Special teams doesn't give up any touchdowns on punt or kickoff returns. That would be nice. That would be very nice. All right, Furones, let's migrate into our final segment, and that is the actual analysis of this Dolphins and Jaguars game. It's going to be a good one. I'm trying to be stuck the poet. Welcome to the show. There was a good question that I think that I'm going to save that Be Stuck posted. I'm going to save this for the online article tomorrow. It's such a good question. It says, in the same way a presidential candidate has to flip enough states red or blue for victory, are these 2024 Dolphins equipped to flip enough L's to playoff teams last year to W's for a playoff win? So I will answer that online later this afternoon, but Furones, I will use that as the jumping off point for the season opener in our analysis. The Dolphins didn't lose to Jacksonville last year. They didn't play. But Jacksonville is one of those playoff level teams, one of those playoff caliber teams that you would like to see the Dolphins beat. What is the number one thing you think the Dolphins need to do this week? And don't say outscore them to beat Jacksonville. I'm going to lean toward not letting Trevor Lawrence go off on you, right? Because I just think that if they can't get that offense going, I know they have those 2 good edge rushers or defensive ends that we talked about earlier, Josh Hines, Allen, and Trayvon Walker. I don't think that their defense can stop the Dolphins' offense. And as long as the Dolphins can limit Trevor Lawrence, I think the Dolphins should win this game. So I'm thinking limiting Trevor Lawrence is the number one thing for the Dolphins, as opposed to shutting down the receivers or controlling the Jacksonville pass rush or scoring 40 points. I think it's shutting down Trevor Lawrence. What are you thinking along those lines? The number one thing they got to do.
Okay, I'll go the other way with this defense and say shutting down Travis Etienne. Maybe not shutting him down, but at least containing him, keeping him to a reasonable rushing total. Don't let them dictate the way the game goes offensively with their ground game, and I'm sure they want to control time of possession, keep the explosive Dolphins offense off the field. So don't let them get long, sustained drives where they're just running it down your throat, whether it's running it at Chop Robinson. Make sure you're prepared to stop the run. I know that was the thing they didn't do week one last year and still overcame it, but it took a grandiose offensive effort for the Dolphins to win quite the shootout. Was it like 38-34 was the final score against the Chargers, maybe in that range. So I would say stopping the run would be the top thing for me. And then obviously when you're on the other side, yeah, don't let Josh Hines Allen and Trayvon Walker blow up the game. That would be the one thing. So get the ball out quick, get the ball to your playmakers, and let them do their thing. I think there'll be big plays. Show that you can sustain drives longer in your own right. That's one thing Tyreek Hill wants to do this year. Get the tight end involved, do all those things. But I think the key thing is stop the run game, and then force Trevor Lawrence to be the one to beat you. Don't make it so easy for the Jaguars that they could just run it down and have ETN just explode in this game.
Here are two things from the text line. Jason Stamps, welcome to the show. Jason Stamps says, run the ball and contain Evan Ingram. Those are two very interesting things. Running the ball, we haven't even talked about the run game. With the addition of Jalen Wright, you have Raheem Mostert, your Pro Bowl running back, Devon Achane, your rookie sensation. You hope that Mostert and Achane can stay healthy and give you those big plays. And now you've got Jalen Wright also with more speed and more depth. This Dolphins run game can take a lot of pressure off of Tua. It can take a lot of pressure off of Mike McDaniel as a play caller. It can take a lot of pressure off of OBJ's absence. It can take a lot of pressure off of the offensive line. How important is it for the Dolphins to run the ball effectively? They do have the big play offense, the big pass game, so maybe it's not that important, but I think Jason Stamps hits on a very good point there.
Yeah, and we know the Dolphins to be able to run the ball using that outside zone and get big chunk plays. Now the key will be is those short yardage situations, and if they can lean on the run game. We were talking to Alec Ingold in the press conference room just yesterday, and he was mentioning that it's kind of like a feel for the game as you see it going, is how much the run game and the line up front can dominate and get a push. So that you do call the run on those 3rd and 1s, 3rd and 2s, if you're in a 4th and short. So he wants to give the play caller, which Mike McDaniel, and give offensive coordinator Frank Smith the confidence in that they can go to the run game, run it power, and convert those short yardage situations instead of having to throw a fade when it's 3rd and 1. Having to run to the outside, which is the strength of the run game. I mean, you could do that too, but the Dolphins will go based a lot on the looks that they get from the defense, creating some over pursuing first with the outside zone and then seeing if it opens up other things. So you want to see them be able to just say, yeah, we're going to pound it and convert that first down when those situations come. But Mike McDaniel will sort of go by the feel and how the game is playing out.
Hooked Up Joe, welcome. Raphael Courtwright, welcome. Some of our regulars. Hooked Up Joe says, yeah, we also have a former run game coordinator as head coach. I agree. So I would like to see Mike McDaniel kind of emphasize the run game a little bit more. We haven't talked to Mike McDaniel here. He got the contract extension, Furones. What does Mike McDaniel need to do for this team to be better? For me, he's got to call an aggressive, big boy offensive game. And when we talk about this offense and this team being tougher, I'm not just talking about, pancake blocks and getting in somebody's face and woofing at them. I'm talking about, again, 3rd and 1, we're running it at you. You can't stop us. 3rd and 3, we're running it at you. You can't stop us. We'll even run it up the middle on 3rd and 4 because you can't stop us. Toughness is a mentality. It's something that you wear it's something that you wear the whole time. You can't just turn it on 3rd and 1 in December in the 4th quarter. Like, you have to be tough in the first quarter on Sunday in September in the heat on your first possession. You have to be tough against Seattle. Like, you have to be tough year round. And if that doesn't happen, I wonder if McDaniel has the faith in his offense. When we don't see these calls, I wonder if it's because the guy who is actually calling the plays does not have the faith in his offense. Alec Ingold was great yesterday. AI is just, he's a gentleman. He's a really good human being. He's going to take it on himself all the time. And when he was talking about the short yardage run game, he was saying we have to give the play caller reason to believe in us. We have to give him faith. I say if the play caller thinks you have a tough team and you're trying to establish a tough mentality, you've got to put it on the players, and you've got to show faith in them and give them a chance to say, we can do this, coach. So to me, it starts with Mike McDaniel showing faith in this team and its toughness.
Okay, if he calls a run up the middle on 3rd and 4 and the Dolphins don't convert, I think fans will really be losing their bleep if that happens.
They will.
So now, if it works, great. Maybe there's something you saw in the look that lets you know, oh, well, they're vulnerable here. We can go ahead and run it. But I do get what you're saying, though, from just a mentality standpoint. I do like that. Yeah, establish some toughness. Now, just the offense is based on the outside zone first. So, that's why he's able to get the chunk plays that he gets, and why the Dolphins were they 6th in rushing offense last year.
Yep.
I think we saw strides from McDaniel in sticking to the run last year that better than what we saw in year one. Now it's just converting the short yardage situations. So coming through there. And then the other thing for McDaniel is his replay system. I want to know what improvements were made, and I want to see if it comes to light right away, and he's able to put together to just convert on some of these replay reviews that he has historically over the first 2 years performed poorly in.
Yeah, that's an area that we don't talk about a lot because it doesn't come up, and if it doesn't win or lose a game, you just kind of let it go. But yeah, that's a very good point by you. Other things that we can talk about in this game. What about what about the rookies, and what are you expecting from them in their debut? I know that we've touched on Chop Robinson. And we don't expect to see Patrick Paul. We've touched on Jalen Wright. We've touched on Mo Kamara. Can any of them have an impact in game one? And if so, how? I would think maybe Jalen Wright, probably Chop, I guess, right? Probably Chop. Or let's not forget Malik Washington as a punt returner also. I guess Chop would have the best opportunity, maybe Jalen Wright, but I guess Chop, if he has a sack or if he plays the run well, I'm not thinking any of these rookies are going to win the game for the Dolphins or maybe even have a game-impacting play, but just through consistency and showing some promise, what rookie would you think would make the biggest week one impact?
Yeah, certainly it's Chop. Patrick Paul, I just hope he keeps the guys hyped up on the sideline.
Right.
If he has to play, that means someone went down. So you hope he doesn't actually play, but I mean his presence on the sideline, I do want to see that. Jalen Wright maybe in some sporadic moments, but it's still going to be a lot of Mostert and Achane in the run game. We'll see Jalen Wright if one of them goes down at some point. Then Jalen Wright, I think, will be a rather large part of this offense. But aside from that, then I would put Malik Washington second after Chop Robinson, especially since River Craycraft is down right now. Odell Beckham Jr. is on PUP. So Malik Washington could theoretically, if he gets some slot receiver reps ahead of Braxton Berrios, be number 3 wide receiver. That doesn't mean he'll be the number 3 pass-catching option. Johnny Smith would be ahead of both running backs. Maybe also either a Jerome Smith or a Julian Hill. But Malik Washington could get incorporated into the offense there. Maybe pick up some key third downs in the slot when so much attention goes to Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. But and then Mo Kamara third after that as well. You could still see him make an impact, and some of that rotation that we talked about earlier.
Yep. All right, Furones. So, we got our email request for our prediction on the game. I have not made my prediction on the game yet. However, I will make it right now. You don't have to.
Same.
Yeah, you don't have to. But I'm going to go Dolphins.
Yeah, I have to.
27 sounds like a good number to me. I'm going to say Dolphins 27 to, do I go 20 or 24? I think it's going to be a close game. I'm going to say 27 to 23. How's that? I better write that down.
Okay.
Too. I'm going to say Dolphins 27-23.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Good thing you went a little bit off. I did have a prediction, even though I haven't sent mine in to our editor for our weekly file yet.
Right.
But I did jot one down, and then it was actually, I was scared you were going to say the same thing as me. But I do have 27-20. The Dolphins win. Get the week 1 win at home on a Sunday afternoon. Should be hot and humid, but Jacksonville, it won't affect Jacksonville too much. They're one of the teams that could deal with that from what they were practicing in all training camp. But I think the Dolphins get it off on the right foot, winning at home against another playoff hopeful.
Yeah, that's what I think, man. It's LFG time, right, for this team. It's the 3rd year.
What's that time?
I know.
I don't understand.
Could
you explain what it is? Could you explain what that is?
I'm not going to break it down, but it is that time for the Dolphins, right? I mean, come on, baby, it's time. It's time. I think they're ready. I hope that they win a playoff game. Everybody likes to write about a winner more than a disappointing team or an underachieving team. The fans are happier, the media's happier, the players are happier. It's just a better time. So I am truly, genuinely hoping that these Dolphins do something good this season and win a playoff game.
Whoa, getting a little shaky there. What was that? You're crossing your fingers as you say that? I genuinely hope. Well, but you're crossing your fingers as you say it?
Yeah. Well, I said hope. I didn't say that they will. I said I hope. I really hope that they do well this season. I don't know. But I am hoping. I am hoping, baby. LFG. That's it, baby. That's how we're going to end it this week. We appreciate everybody tuning in. We will be back next Tuesday at noon. Dolphins Deep Dive with Perk, sunsentinel.com. We will see you then. Have a great week, everybody.